Hey everyone, this is Enza from SinCityMama.com, and today is going to be about my birth story. My a few of the midwives and nurses and stuff like that at the midwifery practice that I use to deliver my daughter thought that it was kind of funny and kind of pure Enza, kind of how everything happened. So on March 6, 2014, I gave birth via emergency C-section to my baby girl, Kennedy. She spent the first week of her life in the NICU, the neonatal intensive care unit. Due to breathing problems and meconium, and I had a cold, so I passed my cold on to her, which then caused her to have to be on a week's worth of antibiotics. And I guess it was actually probably more like the flu. No, a cold. I don't know. Whichever one. Both of our white blood cell counts were way off. So I had to have a chest x-ray and all kinds of other stuff done, breathing treatments, you name it. I had a horrible cough, and I couldn't actually see her for like the first 24 or so hours because I was sick. When you're sick, you can't go into the NICU because you can't make your baby or any of the other babies sick, and I would never want to do that anyway. So there's that. Okay, so let's rewind. So my friend Danielle and I went shopping at a consignment shop called Moolala. They have it twice a year in California. And I had never been to a consignment event or I didn't even know what consignment shops were until, I was like 25 weeks pregnant or something, right? So Moolala is this big consignment sale. Everybody, basically you drop your stuff off, you tag it, you put a price on it and whatever. It's kind of like I guess technically it's kind of like a big like community yard sale, we'll call it. Just I think with better stuff, with like better quality of stuff. So I go to Danielle's job. She works at the post office, and we go. And I get there, and I was like, I feel kind of off, but it wasn't like off like I'm in labor off. It was kind of like, I'm really tired off. Like, like then again, and so it wasn't really anything for me, wasn't anything too crazy to think about because I'm always tired. That was kind of my pregnancy. I slept through most of my pregnancy. My pregnancy was actually really phenomenal. I had very few complications, if any. So my biggest thing was I slept all the time. So it wasn't really that like off, like, oh my gosh. It was just kind of like, I wasn't tired 20 minutes ago, and now I really want to lay down. So we go in and we're looking, and we go down the first aisle, and I was kind of like, I really don't want to be here anymore. And so we kept walking around. Excuse me. And so I said, well, I'm going to go to the bathroom. So I go to the bathroom, and this is TMI. There's a little bit of blood. And I was like, okay. It wasn't even like dark blood. It was like, pink. I was like, oh, probably part of my mucus plug. I'm cool. It's fine. You can go, you lose your mucus plug or parts of your mucus plug. That can go on for days or weeks or, whatever. That's fine. Wasn't any pain. Wasn't having any contractions. Nothing, right? So I go back and I start walking around some more. And I was like, I think I have to pee again. Let me go back to the bathroom. By this point, there's blood all over. Here's where it's true ends of fashion. And hopefully through this channel, you guys will get to know me a little bit better. And then you'll look back at this video and go, yeah, that was her. That's so her. So what do? I send my friend Danielle to go stand in line to pay for the items I had found. I found bottle warmers and stuff like that that are safe for breast milk at a really good price. And they were like brand new in the package, sealed and everything. So I sent her to go stand in line to go pay for them. Well, I went and sat in the back with the nursing mothers in the nursing mother section and the changing section. They had lovely, lovely, lovely rocking chairs back there. And I sat down and I talked to a lady that was sitting next to me about her little baby carrier because I love little baby. And she was showing me how you can nurse in it and, just having a nice conversation. All the while, I then at that point started timing my contractions on my phone. Well, the line was very long, so it was about 45 or so minutes. And Danielle calls me. She's like, I'm done. Let's go. I said, okay. So I get up and I walk over and I'm like, so we need to make one more stop. And she's like, we're at Burlington Coat Factory. And I was like, a small part of me actually thought, okay, maybe. But then I had a contraction. I was like, no, we need to go to the hospital. And she was like, what? Not exactly what your friend wants to hear after they've been staying in line for like 45 minutes to an hour is that you're in labor. And yeah, that, oops. So by the time we left, my contractions were 3.5 minutes apart. But I got my stuff. I got the stuff that I wanted. So we get in the car and I say, I want juice. I want juice from McDonald's. You know, that high C orange stuff? I'm not even sure if it really is juice. I don't know what it is, but it's just really, really good. And I knew as soon as I got to the hospital that as soon as I was admitted that they weren't going to give me anything basically but ice. So I wanted juice and I was going to have my juice. So I had Danielle take me to go get juice. All the while, my contractions are coming and coming and coming and coming faster and faster and faster. So she takes me we get to the hospital. We go upstairs and they get me into triage and they check me. And the first person, well, before that, the second person I saw when I came in was my midwife. And I was so happy that she was already there. I loved all the midwives at the practice. Don't get me wrong. They were amazing women. I would have been lucky to have any one of them deliver my baby. But there's just something about my midwife, my main midwife, Toni, that is phenomenal. So I really wanted her. And it was really great to walk in and see her and see that she was already there and we were ready to go. So we get in there. Danielle has to leave the room. Well, first of all, they're checking me and things like that. And Danielle starts taking pictures because that's what good friends do while you're in labor. They take pictures. And so she had to go out into the hall and she had to call my mom. Thankfully, my mom was like literally around the corner from the hospital getting her car serviced. So my mom was like right there, you know, in a heartbeat. So then I had to text message my best friend who was my birthing coach and yeah, birthing coach, partner, coach, whatever. And tell her, so I text her, I said, I think I'm in labor, but let me make sure that it is actually active labor and it's not like a false alarm or whatever. And I'll get back to you. This was at 3:52. So my mom comes in, Danielle leaves, and my mom comes in and my midwife Toni is like, yep, you're in labor. Let's get you in there. She looks at the nurse and says, have the anesthesiologist in the room before she gets there. I don't. At this age, I'm too old to do pain. And I'm sure many mothers will disagree with me and that's fine. And you can have your natural childbirth with no medications and all that. And I give you hats off to you. Me, no. And no, not this age. Maybe, 20 years ago was fine. Yeah. Now, no. They made these wonderful drugs for a reason, and I fully took advantage of them. So they wheel me in. Anesthesiologist comes in. My mom has to leave the room because I guess they can't not have anyone in there when they, do the epidural. So he comes in. I love my anesthesiologist. Couldn't tell you his name to save my soul. Can't remember it. Loved him though. He came in talking crap about the people he works with, and that's my kind of person. I'm like, this is my team here. I have an anesthesiologist who walks in talking crap about the idiots he works with. These are my people, right? These are my people. Because I was talking crap about probably about Danielle and her taking pictures or something. I don't know. I was talking crap about something. He was talking crap. We were all talking crap. It was all good. These are the kind of people I enjoy dealing with. So he did the epidural. When he did the epidural, my contractions were actually about a minute apart. So there was no like down low like where he could just do the epidural. It literally was, he had to do the epidural while I was having contractions. And my labor and delivery nurse was a rock star. She was like, hold on to me like this and squeeze in, when you feel pain or when you have a contraction or whatever, don't squeeze like this, but squeeze in like that. So she was phenomenal. She was a rock star. Get my epidural. After that, I didn't care. I could have been labor for 6 days after that. It was all good. My epidural really was that great. So, my best friend, after I had the epidural, my best friend Amy comes in, and Kennedy was face up. First of all, which was the problem. She was sunny side up. So they flipped me over on one side, shook me, flipped me over on the other side, shook me. She wasn't turning. They tried to put and she was reacting after I had a contraction. So I would have a contraction, but her heart rate would go up after the contraction, not during. So that was kind of, a cause for concern. And they went to put I can't remember what they're called, but they're the monitors that they put on the baby's head before the baby comes out. They were trying to put one of those or a couple of those on her. And my midwife goes, I can't do it. She's got too much hair. What a problem to have, right? Kid has too much hair. So they couldn't do it. So she tried to, reach in and turn her and all kinds of stuff. And it wasn't working. So the nurse looks at me, she goes, you're having a contraction. And I said, I am? And she said, yeah. I said, woo, contractions. Because I felt nothing. And it was all good with me. So Toni goes out a couple times and comes back in. And she says, I don't like the way you're progressing. She's like, your body is progressing just fine. Your body likes giving birth. Your daughter, on the other hand, I'm not sure she's a fan of the process. And I said, okay. And she went out and she's like, let me go call, my backup doctor. I said, okay, it's fine. Dr. Hodge, I had met, I believe, once. And he said, hi, I'll never see you again unless you need a C-section. Nice to meet you. Goodbye. And I was like, bye. Couldn't identify the man in the lineup. I'm not sure I could still identify him in the lineup. It'd be, honest truth. So she goes out and she comes back and she's like, look, she's like, I don't feel right. She's like, I have a gut feeling and I don't feel right about letting you labor anymore. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the C-section. And I said, okay, fine. There was no hesitation from me on my part. There was no second thoughts about, there was nothing, because my midwife is one of those old school, I hate to have to say it like this, but crunchy. I have a salad for breakfast. I don't eat meat. I haven't eaten anything with a soul since the 60s kind of midwife. So if she said C-section, I knew it was serious. I knew it was something we had to do. And I wasn't going to argue with her about it because, that's not her thing. Her thing is natural birth. And we're going to, so knowing that she's like this naturalist person, I wasn't going to argue with her. So I said, okay. And we went. And they got me into the operating room. And it is very cold in operating rooms. And after they prepped me and everything, it was very, very fast. It was very fast. I guess at that time, I didn't realize exactly the severity of the situation. Because I know with most C-sections, when they put you on the table, they actually strap your arms down. It was so fast they didn't even strap me down. My arms were not strapped down or anything like that. Granted, I'm not sure I could move them. I don't think I don't, I didn't try to, so I'm not sure I could even move them. But I know they weren't strapped down or anything like that because it was very fast. So they got me into the OR, and they made the first cut at 8:15, and she was out by 8:24. She came out, not crying, not really breathing. The nurse was sitting above my head and she's like, we told you that she wouldn't cry. They told you, we explained this to you, we explained this to you. But there's a difference between them explaining it to you and then you being in a big room with a lot of people and they've just pulled your baby out and then you could hear a pin drop. Like no one was saying anything. No one. I don't think I'd ever been in a room so quiet, honestly. And so that was scary. That was scary. And oh wow, get all misty eyed already. And so she let out after probably the longest minute or so of my life, she let out this ah, and I was like, okay, 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 we're okay, we're good, okay. And I started crying. And they brought her like to my left side, and the nurse or anyone didn't even bother to tell me she was standing there. So I kind of just happened to look over, and there's this my cute little precious baby, and then she was whisked away from me. And then they took me into recovery. Amy went with the baby, and my mom was able to come into recovery with me. And I had a horrible, horrible, horrible cough. And I don't know if anyone's ever tried to cough after having an epidural. It's not fun. So, yeah. So they took me back to my room after, after recovery and all that, took me back to my room, gave me a couple of breathing treatments for my cough, and then told me I wasn't allowed to see my baby. Yeah. Try to tell that to a new mom, to someone who just had a baby. That's, oh, really? So, but they explained to me because I was sick and I didn't want to get her any sicker. I didn't want to get any other baby sicker. So I totally understood. They immediately pushed a breast pump in front of me, which I was so thankful for, that they were very supportive with breastfeeding. And I pumped, and I pumped milk and I sent it down. I pumped milk and I sent it down. I pumped milk and I sent it down. And, so that was great. And then a couple days later, actually about 24 hours-ish, or maybe a little more, actually, my Amy came and got me and said that I could go and see her. So I went and saw her, and it lasted for about 5 minutes because the charge nurse was like, what are you doing down here? And why do you have a mask on? And why are you coughing? And you have to go. So they sent me on back up. I did get to see her for like 5 minutes. I'm not even sure it was that long, but we'll say 5 minutes just because it makes it feel a little bit better than saying 2.5 minutes. Um, so I went back upstairs, and after they cleared me and everything, then I could basically come and go as I pleased with the NICU and all that. My best friend Amy was a rock star. She literally slept in a chair next to Kennedy for 5 of the 7.5 days that she was there. So she slept next to her 24/7. She was there. The only time Amy left was to go, it was when the NICU closed. NICU was closed from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. for report, and 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. for report again, because you can't have parents or anyone else in there when you're talking about the conditions of all the babies because they're all in the same room. The babies are actually 4 to a pod, or 4 bed. There's 4 beds in each pod. So you can't have like other parents there knowing about like, the conditions and whatever else of other people's babies. So they close for 4 hours a day, 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the evening. So that's the only time I saw Amy. So yeah, and then she got to come home and it's been a crazy ride ever since then. So that is my birth story. Thankfully, it all turned out well. My midwife came in after I had the baby and told me thank you for trusting her. And I was like, no, thank you. Thank you. I will be thankful to her for the rest of my life, because I know some people who have had complications and their doctors have not been on their side. They're more of a, we're going to let you labor. You're going to do this. And my midwife was like, no, I don't feel right about this. So I'm very, very thankful for her for her gut feeling, for going with her gut feeling. Because I have a feeling that if she hadn't gone with her gut feeling, my daughter and I would probably not have the same outcome. So I am very, very thankful for her. Now that is my birth story. What's your birth story? Let me hear it. This is Enza again from SinCityMama.com. Bye.